Good evening, friends. Good evening. I trust this Sunday is meeting you well, whatever that even means remotely. I have no idea what that means. I want to tell you what I did today, what Mrs. L and I did, and I want to tell you how I am still pulling it apart, still reviewing what I saw, still getting it straight, if that makes any sense to you. Today we saw Barbie, and I have been wanting to see Barbie just so that I could say I saw it because I'm hearing and I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I did a review of the Barbie. I said we're not talking Klaus Barbie either, the Butcher of Leon. What? It's like forget it. They don't even know about Oppenheimer. But I've got to tell you something. It is one of the dumbest, smartest, best, silliest, important, good-natured, good-humored. Remind me of that Wes Anderson kind of a look. So much is made about it. So much has been reviewed. So much has been absolutely talked about to the point of exhaustion. And I'm just going to say something very, very simple to you. Very, very, very simple. And that is this. You know how when we were kids, I don't know about you, but in my generation, people were always trying to discuss, songs and what they meant. The drug references. I remember 8 Miles High by the Byrds. And Roger McGuinn or Hillman or somebody said it was about being in a plane, but they said, we thought it was high. And then sometimes it works in reverse. Sometimes, for example, you hear people who they will believe they'll like a song, which is a terrible song, like Every Step You Take or whatever it is by Sting. That is about stalking. Same thing with I'm gonna get you one day. This is Blondie. Remember the song King Crimson, dancing in the moonlight, everybody was fine and natural sight. It's about his girlfriend who was raped on the beach. They were sleeping on the beach and these hoodlums came and it was horrible. I never understood, but it's a terrible song. Anyway, so people will try to impart upon this their own particular way of looking at it, and you're missing the point. I am telling you right now that there are young ladies watching right now where Barbie meant something to them, and there was nothing in. You didn't look at Barbie and say, "Oh, this is Barbie." They want me to look. They want me to look like in a particular way. They want me to appear perfect. They're giving us this. This is racist because before Barbie was Barbie, and I never realized how many Barbies there were. But this shows this hyper accentuated No, you were a girl. It was a doll. It was Barbie. And that was it. Adults read this into it. Adults did this. Adults were. And it was a good movie. And the reason why? It was about girls. It celebrates girls, not binary girls. Girls. And you ready for this? Did I read this right? No tattoos. None. Nowhere. There was one trans actress, I think. And you can't tell with these things. It's one of these things where you can't say, hey, are you a trans actor? Am I a what? No, of course not. No, of course. Did I say that? No, I didn't mean that. No, of course not. Of course not. You don't know. You sometimes you can say, did you notice? Okay. Just go see the movie if you want. And there's some good stuff to it, but they made so much out about patriarchy. Nobody understands what patriarchy is. Stop it. Stop talking about patriarchy. Nobody understands. Nobody who watches Barbie in the movie cares about that. Okay, fine. Okay. That's over here. Put this over here. That's over there. Okay. Next, I did some pieces today for my, as you know, my private channel. And I talk about some things which are a little bit deeper. And one of them was a bit on Joe Rogan. And it's called Biden's an effing goof. The shadow government's coordinated BS attacks on Trump. And I looked at how there are people, critical elements within the informational spectra platforms that really speak correctly and aptly and courageously about certain aspects of politics and the like, and then how these voices are coming through loud and clear. And we know this. And we know it. The thing I spoke about is the gratuitous profanity. I don't know why today, and I don't particularly care. People talk about the F word. I think sometimes it's valuable. It conveys a certain tenor and attitude, a seriousness. But I think my word is the S word. I think that is the most prolific. I can work thousands of variations of that one into it, but not gratuitously. But that notwithstanding, it was a very important piece, very important part. And Joe Rogan and others are saying so much that is so important. And that's why I say this again. Bobby Kennedy, I won him. You must understand this. I don't particularly care about Bobby Kennedy other than the fact that he can destroy and crack open and smash open this Democratic Party. That's what I'm saying. That's why it matters to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why it matters to me. And that's why I can go into detail. It's not about Bobby Kennedy per se, and that's why I want him to win. And I want him to, again, focus on issues that really apply. Okay? Can't say it enough. Can't explain it enough. It's that important. I did some other stories. Next point. There is right now a proliferation of open air prostitution at levels nobody ever thought even remotely possible. Why are they here? Why are they coming about? Why do we have this? Why? And the title of this is Open Prostitution is the First Step in the Collapse of Society, and it's happening now. Let me explain this to you. And these are the dynamics. This is what, if anything, Bobby Kennedy should be talking about this. Number one, apathy, as you know, is going to kill this country because a lot of people don't care about it one way or another. They just don't care. But yet, when I was a youngster during the Vietnam era, it absolutely was a proliferation in everything that we did. In every single thing that we did. It was in our music. It was in our culture. It was everywhere. It was everywhere. Everywhere we were, whatever, no matter what you want to call it, it was there. It was like nothing. It was like nothing we ever saw. It was incredible. It was in our music. It was in our songs. Johnny Cash, everything. Now, there were some people who might have lived, let's say, in Gainesville, Florida, or Georgia, Dayton, Ohio, Scranton, Duluth. And they might have said, well, we don't really have any members of our community in the Vietnam War who were from here. We don't really see it. We don't know anything about it. Yet they were a part of it. There was a time in this country when people felt the sting and the horror of civil rights violations and the sting and the blemish and the scars of civil rights, who were from cities that say, well, we don't have any civil rights problem here, but yet they felt it. But because this isn't happening in a lot of folks' homes, this open air prostitution, but not merely the knowledge that there's prostitution, but women walking around, and I'm going to say this, disgusting women. There is nothing pretty woman about this, walking around almost nude, that have the look of, I am drug addled, I am the flotsam and jetsam of society, I am thrown away, I have no self-respect, and most probably I am indeed trafficked. And we're seeing it in Brooklyn, we're seeing it in Queens. It's in the open, because up till now, when they talked about sex work, they made it sound like, well, that's going on somewhere else, and you kind of know about it. You kind of know about it. You understand what I'm saying? You kind of know about it. You're not exactly sure where it is, but you know, you've heard. Well, this is in the open. And they are making sure that you and everybody know precisely what's happening. And this is from a group of people. And this is the most important part. And this is what Bobby Kennedy and other people have to ask. Where is this coming from? Who? I don't always say George Soros. Where? All of a sudden, overnight, just like ChatGPT, OpenAI, boom, there it was. Now, all of a sudden, it's coming out of everywhere. Where is this coming from? Where? Who is promoting it? Why is nobody saying that? We have Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, who basically is talking about sex work, and even for kids. This is a signal, kind of like broken windows, to the rest of the world that our society is going into the toilet. There is nothing even remotely cool, progressive, democratic about sex trafficking and about women who have, in essence, had their entire lives changed for the worse because of what amounts to sex trafficking. There are still people to this day, still people from this pathetic, yet to be furloughed world of, I guess, democratic, progressive media, who were still perpetuating rather this canard, this lunacy that suggests that women, that Sound of Freedom is a fantasy purported by or promoted by right wing, whatever it is. This is the lunacy we're talking about. This is the lunacy we're talking about. It's everywhere. And Bobby Kennedy should be talking about it. It is so clear to me. I can't believe I'm even remotely saying it, but it's true. I also talk about in my private channel a little bit about Alan Dulles. Alan Dulles, I want you to recognize, I want you to understand this thing about Alan Dulles. Alan Dulles was the head of the CIA, but was somebody who was what you would call evil. He makes Dick Cheney look like Don Knotts. And it's a little bit about how we have to sometimes stop and go back and say, let me remind you of these people. Let me further remind you of something which is critical. The people who are a part of this did not go away. The people who went away, I'm saying this again, the people who are involved in this horrid, not extrapolation, but this gross and terrible these people who thought, We don't need the president. Francis Gary Powers, Eisenhower didn't know this. JFK didn't know anything about Bay of Pigs. They just on their own did this. What's important to know is these people are not, they're still there. Not those individuals per se, but this mindset is still there. You have to understand this. If you want to be a part of this, if you want to get into this Bobby Kennedy world, you have to understand that conspiracy theories, as they have been called, and they have been kind of over discussed, are alive and before us. And they are right here. Do you hear what I am saying? This is an excellent Pyro Disco Flash says, Sound of Freedom is the pin drop through the Democratic cult heart. Very good. I like that. Excellent. To understand American history, to understand what's going on now, you have to understand this. You have to spend time going back and reading it. Read about John Foster Dulles, about Allen Dulles, the Dulles brothers, just this world, how people like Truman were so afraid, so distraught, so horrified over the fact that they had to turn their beloved world over to this. This is something which is critical right now. Do you want to know? You have to do this. No, you're not going to learn this in school. You're not going to learn this on Fox News. Are you still watching Fox News and Newsmax? Are you still watching this? This is kindergarten. This is the same stuff. It's about Trump. It's about the usual things. It is so bad. It doesn't even go to the heart of what this is about. It doesn't, it's never fair. You've got to know once and for all, what Trump did, a lot of it was stupid. A lot of what Trump did was stupid. I'm not saying he brought it onto himself, but he doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve what's happening. But there are people either kissing his arse or completely ignoring him terribly. Now, what's interesting right now is, and this is what I want you to understand, I have a dream, not to in any way blaspheme this particular word, but I have a dream where people all of a sudden understand what the CIA, what Intel was, what an Intel state was, the deep state, the police state, the Intel state, the shadow government, the ruling class, invisible government, globalist, banksters. This is going to be part of a huge collective republic organ failure. It's going to be the cause of our death, this organ failure. And all of these individual aspects are critical. And there's no place for you to go to learn them. Because you've got idiots on these stupid shows, these punks who don't know anything. And Bobby Kennedy had a front row seat to what these people do when they don't like somebody. Today, they can marginalize you without having to be that aggressive. Conspiracy theories, as have been used now to the point where it's a joke. There has been a relegation, a complete and total relegation, and the dismissal of and regarding people who are absolutely, positively who have an idea that the rules of government don't apply. There are people who say there is no Democrat and Republican. You're seeing disaster, disorder, chaos, and the collapse of this American society. And it will continue so long as this left, right, Democrat, Republican fantasy continues. I can't say this again. This is why Bobby Kennedy is so important. This is why people like Elevation, people like Joe Rogan and others are introducing people who would not normally care about news, and they're shining a light on what's happening. I can't say it enough. It is that critical, that important. So, dear God, let us see what happens. Let us make sure that people vote. Let's make sure that people do something about this. And also, I got to explain something to you. And I say this to people, and they don't get it. Remember, politics is downstream from entertainment. When you have something as big, when you say the movie Barbie, people say, oh, pff, no, 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 no. Look at what's happening. Because I'm telling you, deep down inside, most people do not buy any of this stuff. Most people, most girls want to be girls. Most boys want to be boys. Heterosexuality is still alive. Binary is the way it goes. And you have been fed a line of crap that somehow there is this confluence or this convergence, this tsunami of new appreciations for, I don't even know what you want to call it. They're still here. They've been forgotten. And the mainstream media and people in this shadow government, sock puppet media, are giving you the impression that everything's changing. That the basic fundamental values of this country have somehow changed. That we're different now. That there is no such thing as gender. Oh, yes, there is. That people don't find men competing against sports. Oh, yes, there is. There is a lot wrong with it. And people believe that. So how are you going to do it? I don't know. But I've got news for you. It's wonderful what President Trump is doing, but it may not be enough for him to win. We've got to destroy the Democratic Party. And I mean peacefully through elections. And the way you do it is through a virus, through a parasite called this new Bobby Kennedy that goes into the Democratic Party and says, I'm a Democrat, while his own family says, no, he's not. He says, oh, yes, I am. I'm the scion. I'm the dauphin. I'm the eldest. I am the oldest. I'm there. And unless you people have forgotten the people that killed my father and our uncle and father, they're still in charge. And people like Caroline Kennedy and Nash Schlossberg are nothing but suck-ups. People who've actually sold their soul to the devil. All of them. They've got no guts. They've got no heart. They've got no conviction. You understand what I'm saying? Go back and look. If there's one person who, and we will never get the official word, but if there's one person who would have been absolutely able and in the best position to coordinate everything, it's Alan Dulles. Absolutely. That doesn't mean he did it, but you know how they always say opportunity and motive and all that. I'm still trying to figure out how we got into the Vietnam War. You remember this. Remember this. History is critical. History is critical. So what I want to say to you, dear friends, is simply this. Pay attention, read, and listen beyond the headlines. The headlines that you're seeing right now, for the most part, are not critical. I'd like to talk a little bit about other things, other aspects, which social media platforms do not want you to discuss. You hear what I'm saying? Let me tell you one thing right now. I'm going to throw one at you. Do you believe the Charles Manson story? Do you believe that one? I'll bet you don't know the first thing of what happened with it. Do you? Who was involved? Who did what? Why that was important? Who Bugliosi was? As an example, Helter Skelter, Sharon Tate, Tate LaBianca. You remember this. Do you think that he was involved? Have you ever researched this? The answer is no. because you just assumed, well, that's when you understand how stories can be written, changed, reinforced. You will never believe. In fact, you should start off with the premise that whatever you are told per se is wrong and a lie. That's simple. Believe me when I tell you what I'm saying. Believe me when I tell you what I'm saying. I don't believe anything. I have no faith in anything. You have to, I think you know this. Nothing. Whatever they tell you Trump didn't do, none of it. I don't believe that Barbie got $1 billion. I don't believe that Sound of Freedom didn't. I don't believe anything. You must disabuse yourself of the media platforms that are nothing but lies. They lie about history. They lie about everything. They lie and they don't. And they have now teams of folks, including social media platforms, that not only perpetuate the lie, but will shut you down if you dare to go against them. That's why everything ultimately is going to be paywall or behind a separate non-public thing. And people are going to say, fine, give me the truth. Give me the truth. And if you don't think what I'm saying is true, if you don't think, watch certain people. Watch very carefully. What I would love to know, speaking of Joe Rogan, what really happened after his little apology. He learned a lesson. He's still the best thing around. He's still the best thing around. Everything is changing. So long, Fox News. Newsmax, very nice, is going to basically, that's going to be the Facebook of news. That's going to appeal to the usual folks, the usual, the Rotary Club type. I told you today, National Review did this piece against Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is not exactly the brain trust. He's very good, very smart though. And he's doing more to bring young people in, but he is not paying homage enough to the usual suspects of the conservative movement. There's little factions, and they see it. They're seeing that people don't recognize Bill Buckley and paleo-conservative. People, I dream when people say, what's a conservative? I don't know. I don't know what conservatism is. I'm just here for truth. I don't want a zealot. I don't want religious zealots, patriots. I just want people who believe in common sense. That's all. That's all I want. That's all I want. If all of a sudden people said, leave kids alone, do you know what that would do? That's the essence of the Democratic Party. That's the essence of what they've done on their watch. There's not one person, nobody in the Biden administration, any of those idiots who've ever come out and said anything like, whoa, wait a minute, hold it. We got to look out for kids. Nobody. Can you believe what we're seeing here? If all of a sudden the people who are involved in this, people who were of good folks, do you understand this? Good folks, regular folks. And what I want you to do is I want you to do something. I want you to say, all right, I'm going to do something for the first time. And I want you to listen to me carefully. You have 1 week to investigate everything you can regarding the real story involving Charles Manson. In less than an hour, you can get to the bottom of it. And for most people, your jaw will drop. You say, how come I never heard anything about this? That's a story, but how come you didn't hear anything? How come you didn't hear about anything? How come you didn't hear about anything? Just as an example, something so even people like Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Manson, Terry Melcher, whatever. Let's talk about this. What is this about? What was this all about? Something like that, the official story. Remember, always have somebody scary, always have somebody foreign. Remember this rule. When the Democrats are in power, oh, look at this. How wonderful. Trevelyan Gale says, people of common sense are listening to you. I am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That means more to me. Common sense. That's just it. Remember this, dear friend. By the way, hand crepitations for you. When Democrats are in power, the bad guys are always local, homespun, racist, white nationalist, constitutionalist, Mayak report, those guys. You know, Ruby Ridge, Waco, Randall Weaver, Koresh, Timothy McVeigh. You got that? Local, homespun. That's always a bad guy. Democrats hate Americans. That's the problem. With their conspiracy theories and their stupid, their stupid movies like Sound of Freedom. When the Republicans are in charge, their bad guys are always foreign. Bin Laden, China, Russia, you know, that kind of stuff. Those people, they love foreign. They're a little bit better. They don't really go at Americans as much, but if they have to, they will. Understand the story, the themes of the lies. And both of them need each other. Like Carol quickly says, it's like two drunks walking home at night, propping up each other to keep from tipping over. They need each other. They prop up. Two sides of the same coin. You are living in a lie. And the biggest lies, are cable news, Fox News, the usual stuff. And even people, and they're very good. Breitbart, that's nice. Barely covers me. National Review really barely covers. Go down the list. The people who have the most information are citizen, civilian, alternative, and foreign news. That's where it is. Nobody covers American news better than foreign press, because they look at us and go, what are they doing? And it's the best eyes there are. I saw somebody the other day, somebody said, again, I get this. Maria Bartiromo had a fellow on who basically said, he was a retired NYPD, he was a good guest, who said, I went through the indictment, the Trump indictment, and well, sure enough, it doesn't really have much of, it doesn't really cover much of anything. It didn't really. How many times do you have to hear that? How many times do we have to hear that? Say, I know that. What's going on here? January the 6th, the most important, two people both heard on Tucker Carlson. One was the Capitol Police Chief, I think, and Devin Archer. Did you hear anybody from Fox News mention that? No, because they can't mention Tucker Carlson. And I don't know what Newsmax or any of those other people are doing, but you hear about that? No, that's the most important thing in the world. What's the matter with these people? You know better than that. God bless you. That's for you. All right, dear friends. Listen, you have a great and a glorious night. I was listening before to some wonderful bass enthusiasts talk about one of my favorite bass players, Rocco Prestia, the late Rocco Prestia from Tower of Power, and John Jamerson, and just really enjoying music and seeing the music that I enjoy. I still can't get used to this X. To me, it's Twitter. I can't get used to the X. All right, dear friends, you have a great and glorious day. See you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. And until then, remember these words. Very simply put. The monkey's dead. The show's over, sue you. That is.